Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead countdown to the start of Season 6. And we are exactly 86 days away from the upcoming Season 6 premiere on October 11th. I'm very excited. And again, to help us count down, I'm going to be doing some videos like I did last season. And this one's going to be doing another video of the trailer breakdown. And what I'm going to be doing here is predicting whether Ron and Enid are going to be in some kind of danger. You know, are they going to run into the wolves? Are they going to run into some other kind of enemy? Because something's going on with the trailer. A couple of scenes, when I put them together, they seem to be connected. And I'm going to show you those various images and scenes in this video. So just in case you guys are not caught up with Walking Dead, you're still, in Season 5, if you're not seen the trailer yet, you may not want to watch this video because it will contain spoilers. Okay. So, when we left off with Season 5, we had Pete Anderson getting shot by Rick. And we know that that was Ron's father. Whether Ron was physically abusing Ron and Sam, it seems like he may have been. There's really no direct proof of that, I don't think. I mean, Sam was very worried, but whether he was worried for just Jesse or for himself as well, we don't know. But I mean, it's really hard to necessarily judge the whole situation, and I'm sure that you get some circumstances where, you would have mixed feelings about things like that. Whereas, maybe Pete wasn't always a bad guy. Maybe he was a loving father before this. We really don't know. But, the fact of the matter is that, you do have connections to your parents, a lot of different connections. And I think that, in this situation, Ron is going to be very upset about the fact that his father's dead. Because even though maybe Pete had some bad moments, maybe he was still a good father. Again, I don't know. We may go into that a little bit more. But it really does seem like Ron is going to be, suffering a little bit from his father's death. It's definitely something that's going to upset him, hurt him. And the fact that, he has to walk around and see Rick, the man who killed him, basically taking over the community, making things, put, his way, is definitely going to be upsetting to Ron. And we've seen evidence of that. So I'm going to try to put some of these scenes together to really try to understand what's going on here. So if you'll be ready, I'm going to put some of these images up right now. Okay, you see the first scene right here is Enid and Ron hugging. And of course before this, Carl was walking by and saw this. Now, there could be a couple things here, going on. One, this could be a flashback. This could be flashing back to the time that Enid and Ron first met. But I don't think so, because it's more Ron, he's pretty much, buried his head in Enid's shoulder. So it's pretty clear that Enid's comforting him, not Ron comforting Enid. And I think that, this is just, Ron dealing with the stressful and unfortunate circumstances that happened in his life. His father was killed. And that's something that he's definitely not going to take very well. And we may see him, act out against Rick. We may see him act out against Carl. I think that's definitely going to put a rift in their relationship. But I think that it's hard, for Ron to accept. And we see here that Enid is going to support him. We do know that Enid and Ron are, somewhat of an item. They are dating, it seems. And whether that changes by the end of the season or not, I'll be interested to find out. But right here, you also see another picture, and this is the scene in the trailer where, Ron screams to Jesse, Rick is dangerous, and Jesse just looks at him. Now, whether, Jesse is agreeing with him, whether she is conflicted, and I think that that's something to definitely explore in another video. But, to give like a basic idea, I think that Jesse is going to be very conflicted. I think we did see that there were some feelings, some connection between Rick and Jesse because of everything that was going on, the way that they connected. And I think that that is going to be, something that continues into Season 6. And Ron may be that's got to be even more, stressful to him. The fact that not only is your father dead, but the guy who killed him is now moving in and, getting into a relationship with your mother, maybe wanting to become, your stepfather in a sense. That's got to be very, awkward in many respects. I can only imagine what it's like in other family situations, where you just have, different stepfathers, stepmothers coming into people's lives. That can be hard for some people. And I think that it's going to be very, worse for Ron now. But it seems to me that, Ron is gonna be, taking this hard. And I think that he actually is gonna be leaving the community with Enid, and I think this is what's gonna happen. We saw where, Enid was saying how going outside the walls helped to make her feel better. She preferred to be out there, she preferred to be out in that kind of scenario. And before she said, Ron couldn't really come out here because she didn't think he would understand. Well, I think that there's a good chance that Enid is going to take Ron outside the walls, try to give him that kind of an experience. Because I think that, she's going to see that he's going to be upset. And to them, it might be some kind of a distraction. I really do think that Enid goes out there in order to, distract herself from remembering what happened to her mother and father, which I think we're going to explore in season 6. Some people have various distractions that they use in order to forget bad things that have happened to them. They might meditate, they might go for a run, they might, watch TV, talk with people, and unfortunately you get other people that turn to drugs, alcohol, and again, I'm not judging, just saying that some people do things like that. And for Enid, it's more of, maybe going outside the walls and using her survival skills and being on the edge might make her forget what happened. And I think that she might try to use that to help Ron forget. Be like, let's go out there and just have fun. Let's be free. Let's, really experience what it's like out there. And I think they are going to go outside the walls. And it does appear that Ron and Enid are going to run into somebody, but we know for a fact that Ron does. And I'm going to show you the next picture here. And here you see, and even though it's kind of a little faded, I think that's Ron. In the more front part of the picture there. He seems to be wearing the same kind of clothing that he wears earlier in the earlier 2 pictures, plus the later pictures that I'm going to show you. And what appears behind him appears to be a person, not a walker. It really appears that, the timing of that scene is at 3 minutes 18 seconds. It's a very quick scene, so you have to press pause a lot to really look at it. But I really think that that's a person. Whether that's a member of the Wolves, whether it's somebody else, I'm not sure. They're really too far back to tell. But it really looks like Ron, has run into somebody who's not very friendly. And I think that there's a very good chance that Ron and Enid might both have run into somebody very scary out there. And I'm going to show you the next picture here. And here we have Enid hiding behind a sign. Now, of course, I can't tell if this is Enid in the present day or Enid in a flashback, because when you see her in that earlier scene right outside the walls, when she first comes in there with that red sweatshirt, she's a lot dirtier. You can definitely tell that she's been out there longer. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's not the case. It may have just been that this is an earlier scene that we may be exploring. But it's also possible that this is Enid in the present day, that Enid is hiding from somebody. I think that's a very possible, solution. Whether it's going to be true or not, I'm not sure. We're going to have to watch the episode. But and I also thought that there might just be a possibility that Ron might go out there by himself. That doesn't really sound like him, but you just never know. He may, teenagers sometimes do things without thinking about them. Again, not judging, just saying that sometimes, people make decisions that they should. Adults do it too, so I'm not going to discriminate by age. People do, make decisions that they don't always think about. And I think that Ron might be doing the same thing here, where he just wants to get away. He feels like his world is collapsing around him and he escapes. So it may just be that he's the only one that goes out, but there also is a possibility of Enid maybe being out there too. And I think Enid might be captured. I think that's a very possible solution because we don't see her in any of these later photos. So Enid's either been captured or she never left. And I can't tell at this point which one it is, but I think it's one or the other. And you'll see here in the next photo, this is at 1 minute and 5 seconds into the trailer. And we see here that, this is Ron. Again, you can clearly tell by the clothing it's him, and you can tell that he's being chased by walkers. And he's approaching a cliff, and it really seems like this might be it for Ron. But as you'll see in this next photo, we see somebody coming out from the bushes and tackling Ron. And I'm pretty sure that this is Rick. I have no doubt in my mind that this is him. The color of the shirt is very similar to the one that Rick is wearing when he is talking to the people in the house in Alexandria, when he's saying, we can work together, we can make this place safe, we can do this. I think it's Rick. I think that they're going to notice that Ron's gone. Somebody, Carl may have seen them go over the wall, somebody else might have, or, Rick might just be able to tell that he's gone because nobody's seen him. So I think that, Rick, realizing that he, in a sense, may have a moral obligation to Ron now that he's killed his father, to really protect him. I think that Rick might be adopting that kind of a, belief, or at least a perception that he has to do this. And it may be purely for reasons for Jesse, because he does have feelings for her. He may just be doing this for her. Again, he may just be doing this because this is the right thing to do. I mean, if somebody leaves and is in danger, you should try to go save them. I believe that. But I think that this is Rick that is saving Ron. And as you'll see here in the next photo, you see that Rick and Ron are laying on the side, right near the cliff, and you see the walkers tumbling over the side. And I think this is the case. Rick does save Ron from the walkers, and I think that this is going to be a very, potentially a turning point in their relationship. Maybe. I mean, Ron might just be like, I don't really care, I still hate you, or, it just might be a stepping stone for him, that realizing Rick's not as bad of a guy as I thought he was. So I think that the scenes at least that I showed in the past, I think they take place in sequential order. I don't think there's anything else that could be happening, but there's more going on in this part, and as you'll see here in the next photo, this is at 3 minutes 16 seconds, you see that Rick is shooting a walker, and I think that's definitely Rick. I think that's, we don't really know how many walkers are chasing Ron. It might just be a couple, but I think there's more than that. There could be about 6, 7, maybe 10. And only some of them are going to go over the cliff because, they're going after Ron, and then some of them are going to realize, oh, they're not there, they're over there. Okay. So I think that, Rick is going to shoot some of them. But Rick's not alone. And I'm going to show you one more photo that shows he's not. And as you'll see right here, at 1 minute, 1 second, this is Morgan. And as you can really tell by this picture, the hand on the right side, that's clearly Rick's gun and his hand. And you see Morgan taking out another walker with his stick. And this is definitely very interesting because this, Morgan going with Rick, again, is this a reason to go out because, it's a boy and he's thinking about Dwayne? Saving somebody that, because he may not have been able to save Dwayne the first time, because Dwayne died. And this may be, Morgan, realizing all life is precious, as well as also, in a sense, remembering losing Dwayne and remembering what that pain was like, and maybe not, wanting to see that happen to another parent. I think that this is part of the reason why Morgan goes with Rick. And I think that this is really an indication that, Rick and Morgan are going to be trying to work together, that they are going to try to meet on some mutual ground, that they do want to do what's best for the community. And I think that Morgan will be supporting Rick. And, that may be at the beginning, that may change things or not, but we can at least see that the two can unite to do things. So they're not automatically on opposite sides of the fence here. So I'm very interested to see what this means. I'm going to bring it back to my screen right now. Okay. So again, I showed you all these photos, and again, I really think that they're related. I think that, Ron does at some point try to leave. He does run into some people, whether they're the wolves, whether they're some other enemy, I'm not sure. But it's clear that, Ron does leave. He does get himself into trouble, and I think that Rick is going to save him. And this is really going to change the relationship maybe a little bit between Rick and Ron. Where Ron does start to appreciate things. I don't expect Ron to necessarily do a 180, but I think that that may be the starting point for Ron to realize that Rick really is not the evil guy he might think he is. That the fact that Rick went out of his way to save him, maybe, even after Ron said some terrible things about him, shows that Rick is the better man. And I think that this may be a starting point for Rick to, have a better relationship with Ron and to potentially, convince Jesse that, he's a nice guy and that maybe they will get together. This might be part of the reason why. This may be the moment, the pivotal moment after Rick saves him, that Rick and Jesse will actually kiss in love for the first time, maybe. So there's a lot of things that really may come from this scene, but I'm really excited about what this scene does show, but also what it doesn't, because again, we don't really see a lot of Enid in the present tense in the trailer. Again, I think that we're going to see flashbacks of her. I think that we're going to see exactly what happened to her. But if she, whether she goes out with Ron, I'm not sure. She might not, and Ron might have just ran off by himself. But I think this may be part of the reason why the wolves might find them, and I think that it's going to be a very interesting scene to watch. And I can't wait to see what Season 6 has to offer. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. And again, I want to thank you all for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. If there are any suggestions that you have, don't be afraid to suggest them. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.